Hey, everybody, and welcome to Marketing Monday with the Watertown Oswego SBDC, where we go live every Monday and talk about marketing. I know, amazing. So, if you don't know about the Watertown SBDC, they are a great resource. You can actually set up a free consultation with them. You can either go to their website. If you just look up Watertown SBDC, their website, in your favorite search engine, it'll come right up. But you can also email the address on your screen and set up an appointment with a real business counselor who will help you at whatever stage you're at, whether you're just thinking about starting a business, whether you're actively in the starting process, or whether you've been running a business for a long time like I have. It's always nice to get a smart, objective third party opinion. And just so that you know, we do go live with Marketing Monday every Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And if you want, we welcome comments and questions. And where this is streaming, which is on Facebook and YouTube, YouTube, we get comments pretty easily when people are logged in. But sometimes Facebook, if your profile is set to like private or something like that, you just have to go to this link one time and just say, yep, to StreamYard stuff. And then every time we go live, you'll be able to just leave comments and we'll be able to see them, put them on the screen and answer them. But of course, if you're a little bit more shy, you can also probably email this address and we'll get your comments that way. So, today we continue the conversation about audio. And, because audio is a format that people are doing more and more with all the time. And I am somebody who does not have a lot of experience with audio, just very limited. So what we wanted to do, we're going to have a variety of guests. And today's guest is our first guest. This is Mike Kinnie. Hey, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for coming. Oh, you've got a radio voice. Nice.
Yes, I was going to start out with Monday. Every Monday. It's Marketing Monday at the SBDC.
So yeah, I can tell that you have a lot more audio experience than I do already. So in addition to being a counselor, a business counselor?
Yeah, I'm a business counselor, business advisor. Basically, I help people start business and also expand business. I'm trying to work this camera here. It's kind of weird. It's like I'm not looking where I'm looking, but
well, we can do this. Is this better?
Oh, look at that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. And yeah, so basically, if you have an idea, you can go to the Small Business Development Center and we can help you get the idea started. We can help you create a business plan. We can help you do financial projections for the first 5 years. We can get you set up with this thing called Entre Skills, which is absolutely phenomenal, interactive, web-oriented, basically teaching tool to help people build their businesses. And yeah, so we can do all of that and we do it all free. That's free. Again, that repetition, one of the things we're going to be talking about today, the importance of repetition in audio.
I was reading somewhere, and I don't know how true it is. Like, I was trying to figure out what percentage of information people retain when they listen to something. And I read something like 10%. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah. If I'm sorry, what were you, I wasn't paying attention. What'd you say? Yeah, exactly. No, it's not much. And as a matter of fact, like, a lot of times, even announcements, right? Like the first time, could Mike Kinnie please report to the office? The first time you hear an announcement, you don't even hear your name. And then, can Mike Kinnie please report to the office? And then you're like, oh, wait, that was my name, but where do I have to go? And then the third time you're like, oh yeah, can Mike Kinnie please report to the office now? Oh, that's me. I better go, So yeah, so that's how, I mean, we don't. And because think about it, in our lives, there's just so much noise all the time. And even if you're, you have the radio on or whatever, you're listening to a podcast, you're working outside, it's kind of in the background and you're sort of listening, but you're not listening. And that's why it's important to reinforce the message. And you'll see a lot that in radio ads and also in podcasts. And hey, by the way, we are blah, blah, blah. People remind people over and over about the key things. That repetition is so important.
Yeah. And in live streaming, I know they call it resetting the room, because as people join the live stream, you have to kind of like say the thing you said at the beginning to kind of get everyone who's joining on board. So welcome to the Marketing Monday SBDC stream here. So, Mike has a ton of experience in radio and brought us some kind of clips and has some ideas to talk about today. Do you want me to play your first clip now? Is this like a good time, or do you want to kind of lead into it a little more?
No, that's another important thing I think with audio is it's good to segment it and break it up. So yeah, let's break to a clip.
All right. So I haven't listened to this yet, full disclosure. So we'll see how it goes here. I had to
Who's got time for hot dogs and disco music? Your mind's cluttered with thoughts of commercial waste removal. So thank the good Lord above for Ray's Trash. Ray's will collect the intolerable rubbish at all your company's locations up to 6 times a week. That's 42 times in dog weeks. They shred documents and recycle too. And Ray's has roll-off containers for big loads, like construction waste or when your giant dies. Got a business? Get yourself to raystrash.com.
raystrash.com.
Ray's Trash.
Yeah.
Own a home? Here's a tip. Don't dump.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I said if you can pause it for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there's like 3 of them, and they're all awesome. And the interesting thing, what do we notice? What do we notice first about that? Can everyone tell me what the company is? The company is Ray's Trash, right? Because they say it like 6 times, right? Ray's Trash. And it starts with this kind of bizarre, like, blah, blah, blah. What is this? And you're like, I go ahead.
No, and it didn't feel, and it's funny because they said it 6 times, but it didn't feel repetitive to me.
Right.
And because I was like, you probably saw the look on my face because I don't hide things well. I'm not good at getting gifts I don't like and whatever because my face shows it all. But like, I was just like, for when your giant dies. And I was like, it was a little bit wacky. And we're getting some comments. Raise.
yeah. And I don't even know where Raise is. It's not local, but the thing is the commercial uses humor. It's bizarre, right? In the beginning, you're like, what? You don't know
where's this going? Yeah.
Like I don't know. So, since I don't know what it is, I'm like, I want to listen to this. What is this? What are they talking about? And then there's more and more humor. And again, the repetition. And I'm like, well, if I need a trash service, I might call Ray's because, they're funny, right? And it's interesting because sometimes I think it's not all about price, are they local? Do you make a connection with them? And sometimes you'll make a connection with someone simply because it's funny. Yeah, let's play the next one.
Okay, and I think just before I play the next one,
yeah,
like what I liked about it was that it was funny, but it wasn't really at the expense of another person, and it wasn't really like crass or anything. And it's funny because sometimes when people talk about humor stuff, they insist that you have to, be self-deprecating or a little bit mean or something. And this shows that you can be sort of funny and wacky without, hurting other people's feelings. Okay. So this is the next one. I saw how long this was. And I was like, this is a one long, I see it's a series. It says commercials with an S. So I thought it was a series. Okay.
And by the way, my favorite is going to be like coming up. I think it's the 3rd or 4th.
Okay. So not this is not your favorite. So I'll pause after this one too.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see what we notice.
Your garbage in the street. Neighbors get fussy about that sort of thing. Instead, count on Ray's Trash to haul it away. Ray's can supply 96-gallon waste and recycling bins that'll make you the envy of the cul-de-sac. And when you need a roll-off container for that big job, guess who's going to be there for you? That's right, Ray's. Your filth needs a place of its own. Ray's Trash will move it there. You know where to go.
raystrash.com.
Ray's Trash.
Nice.
Yeah. So what I was going to say too is that, like, okay, I just told you this isn't my favorite, but there's another one coming up. So now what we're doing too, which is a good thing to do in storytelling in general, is, okay, I want to keep listening because there's more. What is it? What's going to be the new gimmick? What
are they going to say next? What crazy thing are they going to say next?
And that's why it's like Geico commercials, right? I love watching Geico commercials because every Geico commercial is somewhat bizarre and funny, and but
it also has a voice, you know what I mean? And I feel like what's nice about, it's funny. I was like listening to a branding video and they were talking about how, like, okay, branding isn't a logo. So like Nike is a brand. And if Nike opened a hotel, we would have an idea of what Nike's hotel would look like. Right. But if the Hyatt made a basketball shoe, we would have no idea because literally the Hyatt's like a logo. So it's funny because it's like, I feel like, if a different company used the same thing, I would be like, do they have anything to do with Ray's? Like it really they have a nice distinct voice already. And we've only listened to 2 clips. So this one's your favorite? This one coming up?
No, I think the next one is, but I can't remember the word.
All right.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep. Okay. So, all right. So this is clip number 3 from Ray's Trash. Where will they go next?
Nothing brings a construction project to a halt quicker than losing half your crew under a heap of shingles. So say hooray for Ray's Trash. Ray's could deliver 10, 15, 20, 30, and 40-yard roll-off containers to your job site. It'll be tempting to fill them with water and go for a swim. But instead, load them up with construction waste and your discarded hopes and dreams. When they're full, Ray's will haul them away. Got a big pile? Get yourself to raystrash.com.
Ray'sTrash.com.
Ray's Trash.
It might have been the Ray's taking your hopes
and dreams. I know that one hit me too. And like the swim, you might be tempted to fill it up with water and make it a swimming pool.
Yeah, exactly. No, and here's the thing too, is like we're talking about a commercial from God knows where. I don't even know where I don't know where they're located, but we're talking about it, and that's what you want, right? When you're doing audio, you want people to talk about it, share it, and well, share it. If it goes viral, that's all the better. So yeah, let's listen to another one. I think there's
right. Yeah. And the thing with too is I think sometimes people, when they talk to me about advertising or marketing, they're like, well, I just have a hotel or bed and breakfast, or I just have a whatever. But this proves that like you can make a really unique value proposition. And what's nice is we all know what roll-off trash containers are like. Putting the idea of putting our hopes and dreams into them is something that, all right. So I don't know if that one was your favorite or maybe this one, but we'll see.
Yeah, let's try the next one. Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say you don't want your sensitive documents in the hands of bad people. If I'm right about that, you're going to love the good people at Ray's Trash. They come to your home or office with a serious paper shredding truck and apply some pretty rude behavior to your unwanted documents. After the secure NAID certified shred fest, no one will be able to make heads or tails out of your paper files. Want to sleep better? Get to raystrash.com.
Ray'sTrash.com.
Ray's Trash is.
All right. I think it's even the next one after that. But again, so we are talking about trash, right? That isn't particularly interesting, but they're making it interesting. They're making it fun. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes we don't think like it's funny. We'll provide some goods or services as a business, and we have related products and services, but sometimes our clients or customers don't think about them. So it's like, I think we're all thinking, oh yeah, I'd love to, we all like, I can think of a pile I've got going that I would like to shred. Right. It like kind of puts you and you're like laying in bed at night and thinking, oh yeah, like I probably should shred that. I probably should get that taken care of. It kind of puts the idea in your mind.
Yeah. And they're introducing, this time they're introducing a new product. So they do the trash and they also do shredding. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let's listen.
All right. This is the last one.
Finale, I think.
All right. The grand finale.
Is your building haunted or infested with icky snakes? Then tear it down. The Ray's Trash Demolition Squad can flatten buildings up to 3 stories tall. Whether it's a commercial or residential structure, the Ray's Trash Demo experts will make it go boom. And with their roll-off containers, they'll haul away the mess quicker than you can say, hey, there used to be a building there. Bring your old fire trap to its knees with Ray's Trash.
Ray'sTrash.com.
Ray's Trash.
Well, that was a lovely little mini series. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And then, so couple key points here. Yeah. Repetition, humor, somewhat bizarre, right? And just off the wall. It's all good stuff. Now, a couple other things that I think are important when we are telling a story, because this, in fact, when we do, whether it be a podcast, whether it be a commercial, we need to tell a story. Right. So we need to have some sort of a hook, which they do in the beginning of each ad. They have a little hook. Right. And then we have to have something to keep people interested. What's going to happen. And in their case, since it's so bizarre in the beginning, like, I don't know what's going on. I want to listen and see. And then, information. Right. It has to be informational, which they do. And then pleasant sounding. The guy's got a nice announcer voice, even though the background's really weird. Repetition again, and then informing us what the product is by repetition. And notice I used repetition by using repetition. Do you see that? Yeah, but those are all really important. So,
it makes a ton of sense to repeat stuff. And I kind of like, we're hearing kind of a wacky sort of narration example, but sometimes how people use repetition is through like a character, right? A continuous. So like this guy's voice, is very recognizable and kind of is the stand-in for Ray's Trash. I'm assuming he doesn't work there or anything. He just is someone with a
probably
great voice, right?
Right,
But
exactly.
sometimes the Geico,
Yep.
the little, so sometimes you can create continuity, not just from being wacky, but also with an actual like some character or something that whose arc goes throughout the series or something.
Yeah, I mean, we always want to know what the gecko is going to do next, and he's got that English. Like someone came up with the idea. Okay, we got to take a gecko, and he's got to have an English accent, right? And then so whenever we could be in the other room, and if we hear him say something that we're like, oh, that's a Geico commercial, got to check it out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know when we were talking ahead of time, I was going to play you some of my old commercials. So I used to have a comedy club, and it was called the Lake Ontario Playhouse. In every week, and again, repetition, we would weekly do commercials, and we'd weekly change them. And one of the, and I would do some bizarre commercials. So this is one example, but I have to do it live because I couldn't find the commercial. But it's okay. So everyone, close your eyes, pretend
Okay.
we're listening to the radio
All right.
here.
I'm gonna just make you full screen. I'm just gonna.
Okay, but don't look at me though. Close your eyes. Okay, ready? And now, the conversation between a cow and a duck. Moo, quack quack. Moo, quack quack. Need a laugh? This week at the Lake Ontario Playhouse, and then blah blah blah. Right? But so that's an example of a really strange, bizarre hook. And when I first thought of that, I just cracked. Some things I do for me, but again, because it's weird and it's different. And then I had another one like Valentine's Day. It would be I love you. No, I love you. No, I love you. Then you hear guns. Need a laugh? This week at the Lake Ontario Playhouse, like again, just weird, bizarre. And then Santa Claus is coming to town. Again, there's just, you can have so much fun with it. And it doesn't have to relate to what your business necessarily is. Again, that's what Raise Trash did too. You can just throw some funny stuff out there and have a great time with it. And then you got people listening and they repeat it. And there you go. You got yourself some extra bonus ads.
So here's something, and I appreciate your comedy background for this, because I think sometimes when people create marketing content, whether it's audio or video or whatever, they're told to be funny, but no one ever tells you how to be funny.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And there's an old joke that the most important thing about comedy, you know what it is? Timing. It's all about timing, right? How you place the next thing. So there's a hang, there's a pause, and then it continues, and usually there's a twist. But that's what it's all about. It's all about timing and twist. And so that's why you can have lots of fun with it, and then go in a whole bunch of different directions. But unfortunately, if we do something that we try to be funny, but it's not funny, that can be not funny, but it can also be funny about being not funny at the same time. You know what I mean? So there's if you just realize you're not funny, but try to be funny and make fun of the fact that you're not funny, that works too. For example, some of those mockumentaries, right? Like they're trying to be serious, but they're trying to be funny, but they're trying to be serious at being funny. So they're funny, even though they're not funny. You know what I mean?
Like Best in Show or
exactly.
This is Spinal Tap.
Yes.
Yeah. Wait, what's the name? I forget what the name of the director that always does this. I'm completely blanking on his name, but yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like almost like if you just like overly commit and take yourself too seriously, like, I don't know. Yeah, there's this woman I follow on TikTok, and she like talks about like the rich mom starter packs. So she's like, all right, we're a rich mom in Tribeca. So you're going to be wearing this kind of jacket because and she just like really commits to the bit.
Right. You got to commit. You got to commit to it. That's important, because if you're going to do it, just got to totally commit to it. Like, well, exactly like the cow and the moo. I committed to my moo, my cow. I think it's.
I know, and I was like listening, and I was like, okay, where is this going? And then you're
right, exactly.
And then there was a swerve, right? So like that's part of. I think that's part of like when something happens, like I was at the toll booth going into Cornwall, and someone, you pay the toll, and they like drove in and broke the little thing that comes down on the car. And it's like, I didn't laugh because it was funny that this bird, I mean, everybody was fine, but I laughed
Right.
because it was unexpected. Like I wasn't
Right.
expecting that.
Unexpected.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think sometimes when you have that release, it's like really what's funny about it is that you just weren't expecting that at all. So,
Yeah.
and
So
like with your lovers, I love you or I love, and then guns. I was like, need
right,
a
right.
laugh? I'm like, well, after that, I might.
Yeah, and then informative is too. Like another thing I would do a lot is I would say, I would start my commercials out with laughter reduces stress, is a great abdominal workout, and it's loads of fun. So it's just informative. It's not funny, but then need a laugh this week at the Lake Ontario Play. So there's a whole bunch of different ways. You don't always have to be funny, but commit to it. Like commit to it, and then. So then when we're creating our stories, if we're going to do a podcast or something, I wanted to go over the hero's journey. We don't have to do this right this second. I want to talk about that a little bit. Okay. So, I have an MFA in creative writing, and I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you that, I study I've studied the aspect of story, right? What is a story? And one of the things I learned is this thing called the hero's journey. And some of you guys might already know about this, but literally every single story that's ever been told follows some basic formats. And one of them is, and they might be a little bit, they might twist the direction around a little bit, but if you're doing a podcast, you're going to tell a story. If you want people to listen and you want people to watch it or hear it, listen to it, then you need to understand what people are expecting, because we in our Western society are expecting certain things. And what we're expecting is, first of all, establishing an ordinary world, right? So an ordinary world, Cinderella, ordinary world. There's this person that's, this girl that is basically a slave at her own house, right? Her stepmother's a pain in the butt. Her sisters are a pain in the butt. She has to do all the work. That's the ordinary world. That's the start of the story. Okay, so whenever you're telling any story, you have to establish it. Sometimes we establish, like any James Bond movie always starts with a massive action like sequence, right? That's the ordinary world. James Bond is this action star that goes no, right? He goes on and on and on, right? So and then of course he gets out of this particular thing, and then the real story starts. And then you can go on, and then so once you could tell me any story and I could tell you what the ordinary world is. But then we go on. So what happens? What takes the ordinary world out and then twists it? And there's some inciting incident. And going back to Cinderella, the inciting incident is but hey, the prince is giving a ball. The prince is giving a ball, right? So inciting incident. All of a sudden, Cinderella has an opportunity potentially in her mind to go to this ball, and maybe that'll change your life, right? Luke, Star Wars, the what I call the first one, but it's the fourth one, whatever. The first one, he's just this dude. He works for his uncle on a planet, and all of a sudden, these people come in and they kill his family. It's his aunt and uncle, right? So that's the inciting incident. And then he finds out about this Obi-Wan Kenobi dude, and now they have choices. Now we're into the third section, which inciting incident. Now we have to start this new journey. That's when the journey itself actually starts. But along the way, they're going to meet friends, allies, and enemies, right? That's what makes it interesting. So generally in stories, we want to have a little bit of conflict. Everything doesn't go according to plan. If right now in our little discussion right here, if something happened, wait a second, my computer doesn't work. Everyone would find that interesting if there was some sort of a conflict. It would be stressful for us, maybe, but it also makes it interesting. I wonder if they're going to get out of this. How are they going to pull out of this? That's what makes an interesting story. Then usually there's what's called meeting the mentor, right? Where there's this person that maybe can help. Who is it in Cinderella? Fairy godmother. Who is it in Star Wars? Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Who is it in Lord of the Rings, right? Gandalf. Who is it in Harry Potter? Let's go back to Harry Potter for a second. Ordinary world. 10-year-old boy lives under, right? Lives with his uncle and aunt under a stairway, and then all of a sudden, inciting incident. He gets these letters, right? Again, it's the same thing as in everything. It's really interesting. So if you decide you're going to do a podcast, you want to tell stories, or even if it's informational, you want to hit these things. So now we're interested. Well, who's this mentor? Is he going to be a good mentor? Or is he going to be a bad mentor? Sometimes mentors start out good and they end up being bad. That's a good twist. And then, of course, there has to be the conflict, right? Some conflict, some problem that needs to be solved. And then I'm just going to breeze through it basically. And then we have what's called the dark innermost cave, going into the soul, like the hero's worst fears are realized, right? Now he's got to figure out, it's either I give up and I die or I get through this. And then a lot of times there actually is a death or a metaphorical death. And then there's a rebirth. And then of course there's the ultimate climax. And then either everything works or it doesn't. But you can break anything down. And if you realize that everything, our societies, we're used to this, you can play with it. You can alter it your own way. That's what art's all about. But if you realize this basic outline exists, then it makes it easier and more interesting to tell your story because we have expectations. We're used to things. Now we like it when things go differently, and that's what you want to do as an artist, but you still have to realize that this has to happen. We have to establish some sort of ordinary world so everyone knows where they are. Now, again, it doesn't have to be immediate because there can be that hook, like in our commercial, conversation, duck, cow, I don't even understand what's going on there. Raise what? The giants? What? But then it gets into the twist, and then it gets into the story. So those are really important key things to remember.
Yeah, I think people don't want everything to be unexpected. Like when we walk into a room, we want there to be maybe a light switch, right? Like we don't want to have to rethink everything, which is why even in the fantasy, in a Harry Potter situation where there's a lot of world building, there is some things that we can kind of rely on from, our normal experience. And if you think about it, okay, yeah, I'm going about my daily life. Why would I change something? Wouldn't there, in real life, I would need an inciting incident to decide to change something in my life. And then, I think it would be normal for most of us if we are trying to do something big and that had a lot of change in it for us to give up. So we would need somebody or something to come in and help us out at a certain point. So it kind of makes sense. And like you said, when you can apply it to these multi-novel, series, or you can apply it to even a very short story. I was trying to remember. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to apply it to right now. Okay. So
Ooh, okay.
When you started this, when you started this episode today, right? You said, hey, everybody, welcome back to Marketing Mondays, Real World, right? We're here every week, Real World. And this week we have, and then that's a twist, right? Now the little bit of inciting is that this week we have so-and-so. So now we go on our new direction, which is the direction of whoever your guest is, right? So then we go on from there. Hopefully there won't be any major conflicts and no one dies. But you never know. You know what I'm saying? It's but if somebody did almost die, then this would probably go viral and, and be able to promote the product better. So not that I'm encouraging that, but
Got it.
Again, humor. This is
a
joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so if you realize that, and it's about life too, right? If you think about it, that's why we relate to it, because that's the way our life works. You wake up, it's a regular day, I get dressed, do my normal stuff. And then something happens. Oh my gosh. My watch stopped. I was supposed to be, at the office an hour ago. Then every adrenaline kicks in, that becomes interesting. And whatever happens. But when we have major conflicts in life, if we look at it like a story, it sounds really weird. I'm taking the opposite here. But if you look at it as a story, you can usually get through it, because you can say to yourself, all right, in order to get through this, I'm going to have to problem solve. I can't give up. I'm going to need friends and allies, and I'm going to look for mentors to help me through this. And guess what? I will get through this. Dude, that was deep. Wow.
That was deep.
Yeah.
And I thought we were just talking about audio today. We're talking about life today.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But we're talking about it. See, people are hopefully listening. Anyone listening?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There is.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. But that's what it's all about. I mean, well, the hokey pokey's what it's all about. But other than the hokey pokey, this is also what it's all about.
Yeah. So if somebody was trying to be clever with their, thinking through, like, we're going to be having, somebody coming on to talk about radio and someone to be coming on to be talking about podcasting. And if someone is kind of DIYing some of this stuff themselves, if they're like, well, I'm interested in sort of crafting, these little commercials that are going to be on the radio, or I'm interested in creating these sort of, audio shorts that are going to be maybe on a podcast. What are some tips that you have for, whether it's for their making their voice sound great, or whether it's like thinking through, how, because I find that with sometimes, especially when I'm working with big clients, they want me to like read like a script or something, and they have certain things they want me to say, and trying to fit it into the format can feel a little bit difficult. So like, you got to be brief, but because you got to give room to repeat. Like, what are some kind of general tips you have if somebody was going to record their own voice spots, or even hire someone else to do it, but they wanted to have some of that creative direction?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple, going over, like the basics, you want to have repetition. You need to introduce, you got to have, start your ordinary world. So you have to introduce yourself, use a hook, all this stuff. Conflict's good. Humor's good. Conflict can be good. This person, that can be using humor, repetition again, and in making it informative, but also it needs to sound authentic. And that's key. Like in speaking, public speaking, right? They always tell you, don't read a script, have an outline, right? So if you have an outline, then you're more authentic. You and I talking right now, if I was reading, okay, now Nicole is going to say, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to say, it wouldn't sound, unless you wanted to rehearse it and do a whole play or something, it just wouldn't sound authentic. So it's really important to be authentic, and it's okay to sound like, hey, you're talking to your friend. I say that I think we get nervous when we have to talk in front of people that, ooh, they're judging me. Again, totally commit. Who cares if they're judging you? What difference does it make? But if you're talking to your friend, then it's like, in acting, when you're acting in front of the camera, you treat the camera as a friend. It's your friend. You talk to the camera. You look at the camera. The camera's my friend. You can get angry at the camera too, if you need to for the scene. But the point is, you have to embrace it and just commit to it. And we're worried. Oh, I don't sound good on the. All right. Well, if you don't sound good and you don't want to do it, then find someone. But find someone again that's authentic. To do your voiceover. But it's just amazing because we all listen to podcasts, I think, or most people do at this point, and they're just regular voices, right? It's not like, hey, and now we're with hey, how you doing there? Oh, I'm good. It's like just regular people talking, and you're more likely to listen to it, and you're more likely to believe it. So I think that's a key point that we need to be authentic. Oh, and also it's good to have sound effects. Did you get my?
Oh, yeah, I did. So
can you throw a sound effect in right
I
now?
will. I have to show a whole video because that's how this whole thing works.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because like for some reason the streaming software, not that anyone cares, but like it wants video or it wants an overlay. So let me and I have to reshare it because it's the sound. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna break the suspense here by people seeing the title of it, but
don't look. Yeah, just like,
yeah. I love how and it's funny because you think that you don't have opinion about the way you're like, oh yeah, I just need glass breaking, but there's tons of them, and I only know this because it's like when I help people like work on, they're like, I'm not ready for a logo yet, so they just but we need to like put something on the top of the page, right? So we just have to find a font that you don't hate, and man, do I, I'm like, just go to this and like just write your business name in it and just try changing the fonts. And because people are like, I don't really care, but you have them do that, and it's so. But I bet there's tons of these sound effects. I don't know. I don't think it's ever come up on this broadcast. I used to coach cheerleading, and I know we don't know each other, but I don't know if I give you a cheerleading vibe, but I have never given a cheerleading vibe. So if you're not picking up one now, I definitely didn't. And so we would do a lot of sound effects in the cheer music to like do transitions, like from one song to another. There'd be like lasers, and suddenly like the sound would switch.
Yeah, and that's the key thing is you bring up another good point is segmenting, right? Segmenting things. So like you're doing this and then you're doing this, but it makes it more interesting. If you just like, if a cheerleader just did the one cheer and didn't do another cheer and it was the same, that would be okay. I've heard the cheerleader, I'm moving on. But when we segment things, we throw in broken glass, we talk about this, like, what are they going to talk about next? And that's what you want. That's what you want. What are they going to talk about next? And what we're going to talk about next is, I don't know, what are we going to talk? I don't know. It could be anything. It could be, could be politics, whatever, relationships. How are things with you? Is everything good? Is it weather nice where you are?
It's lovely.
Yeah. No, it's supposed to be nice, right? I mean, it's supposed to be nice. Going off on a tangent. I'm segmenting things.
Totally. Well, and I think the other thing, I don't think anyone has actually died of embarrassment that I've ever heard of. So what I tell people when they're like, I don't know, because sometimes you're on douchey podcasts and they ask you, what's your superpower? And I say, I don't get embarrassed. Exactly. And I understand that it's a superpower. And if you're not sure, if you want a little exercise that you can do in real life, offer to go speak in front of a high school class.
Yeah.
Because I worked at a high school for 3 years. So, let me tell you, if you can get up in front of 17-year-olds and do something, they're not giving you anything. You're doing okay. So if you just need some experience of standing in front of a group of people and just committing to just keeping going, no matter if anybody's falling asleep or whatever, I say, if you can do something in front of a bunch of high school students, you're doing okay.
No, I agree. And actually, I did one, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, in front of a high school students. It was awesome. It was fun. But you brought up another good point, is like, okay, going back to the title, just, I don't care what the font is. So just do anything, like put any, just play with the font. It's the same thing with, deciding what you're going to do for a podcast. Don't let go. I'm going to create the best podcast ever. Just start it. Start with an outline, brainstorm. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you don't start, you can't make it better. Like if you don't write anything down, don't create an outline, you can't make it better. So you got to start somewhere. You got to start with a font, and then you can change fonts, metaphorically speaking.
Right. And, if you know that the radio station needs, a 20-second audio clip, right, to use for your commercials, what you can do is you can sit and record a few. We have these, the microphone that comes on your phone is pretty good. I'm not saying it's not like professional, but it's pretty good. And you can record a few different versions of the commercial. And, what's really funny is like, sometimes you'll think like, oh, this is the best, you'll write something down. You'll be like, this is the best idea. Then you record it and, you record a few more ideas, and maybe that fifth or sixth one is actually the best one, but you wouldn't have gotten to it without recording the other ones. Because sometimes you see like, oh, well, I'm saying this and, are people going to, it's like a little too long. Instead of saying productive, maybe I could say, if, I'm trying to think of a word shorter than productive, but you know what I mean? Like you might think of different ways to make it shorter, and because you want to fit that repetition. Like you said in that Raise commercial, they said Raise 6 times in 30 seconds without making you feel like they were.
Right.
Raise.com, they said the domain name,
Yeah. And there's the old classic Sunday, right? But which is over and over again. But that's, again, they totally sell it. So that's okay. That's their thing. And we all remember it. But yeah, so I keep jumping back to the previous point you made, but the embarrassment thing. Anyone that's taken a picture, there's always someone that goes, oh, I don't want my picture taken. Right. So when you look at the picture afterwards, everyone looks normal. Everyone looks, it's a great picture, except for the person that does this. So again, just don't do that. Commit.
Right.
Commit.
I know. My grandmother didn't want pictures taken of herself, and then she died, and I only have one picture of her.
Yeah.
So ever since then, whenever someone wants a picture, I say, sure. Let's do it. I guess if someone wants to look back on a memory with me, I just want them to remember that. So if you're one of those kind of people, think about the kind of people that you're going to leave behind who might want your picture. Just saying. Yeah. But yeah. And and sometimes you don't know what's funny until you try out some stuff. So maybe you record a few commercials.
Yeah.
And, you give it to the person who's going to be putting it on their podcast or putting it on the radio. And then they might give you some feedback. They might say, oh, like, we think this one's going to work really well. Like, don't be afraid to record some stuff and ask for feedback. I know sometimes when I'm trying to impress someone, I just want to send them one really good thing. And sometimes I say, you know what, maybe I'm going to send them 5. And I'm going to be like, number 3 is my favorite, but I'd love I'd love your feedback. Because sometimes they listen to the other ones and they're like, oh, well, actually, let's take the last thing you said, number 4, and add it to number 3. And that's going to, and I would have never come up with that. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and they're professionals. They're going to tell you if something's not workable, and they'll tell you really nicely.
Yeah, and feedback, peer feedback is really important. So when I was undergrad, one of the things I went to the School of Visual and Performing Arts in Syracuse, and one of the things we watched first, the very beginning, is this movie with Picasso. Right, everyone knows who Picasso is, one of the most famous artists of the 20th century, and he was painting, and he's looking at, he's working on it, and then he like takes it down and throws it out and does it again, and does it again, and does it again until he gets it right. And the moral of the story is, it's okay to fail. Like, have the freedom to fail, but try again. Learn from your mistakes. And I think that we are so ingrained that everything has to be perfect. Anyone that tells me, "Oh yeah, I'm a perfectionist," I'm like, wow, okay, because you got to keep trying. If you decide everything's going to be perfect right off the get-go, you're not going to get anything done, because you're never going to put that first font up there. Because you're going to go, oh, it's not perfect, I'm not going to do this, I can't do it. Just keep putting fonts up there, keep trying things out, keep cranking out the ideas, throw it off your friends, professionals, and then you might find that this segment works better than this segment. You take this and taking this, and you put them all together.
And sometimes being able to articulate what you don't like about something is helpful. So like, you might record some commercials and you say, oh, this sounds awkward, or this sounds like I'm trying too hard. How can I make it sound like I'm trying less hard? Oh, I can, use smaller words. I can, ask my friend to come on and be the second voice. The other thing too, just so that people know, if you want to just sound different, there is technology to do that. Mm-hmm. And first of all, there's technology, and I'm not quite sure. Okay. And if you're like, this is not in my wheelhouse, that's fine. So there's these voices now. There's websites you can put text into, and they're deep fakes. So like, you can have like Drake like read the audio, whatever audio you type in, or like, you can pick. And they have categories. They have rappers, they have sports people, they have movie stars. There's whole websites, and because there's so much audio of them talking.
They can put any combination of words together.
Yeah, it's called a deep fake, right? And they're like, it's been a problem sometimes in like the news or something like that, where someone will be like, "Oh, this person said it," and then you look into it and they're like, "No, they didn't." But what I'm wondering is like, I wonder what the legality is if I wanted, I don't know, if I wanted Beyonce to like read the Beyonce voice to read my commercial. But I'm sure like an audio person, whether it was, like I said, a podcast you wanted to do a spot on, or a radio show, that they would be able to tell you if you could do that. But if you just wanted to sound different than yourself, like for that cheerleading thing, I had to make the music mix. I did not know there was services that would do this, by the way. So I spent my entire February vacation 17 years ago teaching myself Audacity. And I needed because there's this like thing in cheerleading where they do the deep announcer voice. And as you hear, I don't have that voice. But what you can do in Audacity is you can increase the bass. And it was funny because I did it and I played it for the girls. They're like, "Oh, who'd you get to do it?" I was like, "That's me. That's me. I just changed my voice." And Audacity is a free download, by the way. It works on Mac. It works on PC. I think GarageBand is on Mac only, but there are ways that you can do some light editing where you can, deepen or make your voice pitch higher without it sounding like the chipmunks are talking and you're talking, sometimes people will shorten it and it's like, oh, okay, you made that faster, but it made your voice pitch go up. But you can adjust those things a little bit if you want. So if for some reason if you needed a male voice in your commercial, you could sort of make your voice sound more masculine in my case.
Yeah. And you'll hear that too with radio commercials every now and then, some Sunday, but they do it through technology and it mixes it up. And the thing is, I think when you do any of that stuff, we used to do acting lessons where, all right, take the scene because we're having a problem trying to get it, more authentic. Let's take the scene and let's exaggerate it by 10. And a lot of times what will happen when you do these types of things, it takes you out of it and makes you more comfortable and then you're okay to, it's more fun. You're less serious about it. Again, it's a freedom to fail because it's not the final take. We're just fooling around with it, and then you come up with all these better ideas, and you can do that. Like with your if you have a spot and you got to read the spot, read it one way, and then read it like Mickey Mouse. Read it like whoever you decide to read it like.
But you have so many good voices. Like I can do like British petulant child and like French Canadian, my natural French Canadian accent, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's just practice. But again, you don't have to.
You're saying you're like warms you up.
It's like you don't have to. Yeah,
I see. You're saying like this is an exercise to kind of warm you up to be more like laid back about it, kind of loosen you up. Like people do scales. Instead of doing scales, you can read your thing in a few different voices, and it kind of loosens you up.
Yeah,
see that
get you going,
yeah.
and it's fun. And again, don't take yourself seriously. And if you're listening to a podcast and the people are trying to be so serious, and it's not like, I mean, obviously if it's you're talking about a horrible thing, that's one thing. But if you're just talking about, right, don't take yourself seriously, have fun with it. And people are more likely to listen to it because, you're at a party, right? You want to, who are you going to talk to at a party? You're going to talk to someone that's interesting, that's funny, right? And kind of mixes things up a little bit and is informative. Those are the things you want. And that's what you want in a radio ad. That's what you want in a podcast. That's what you want in a story. Those key ingredients, over and over again. Authentic, interesting, funny, informative. Right.
Right. I mean, and something, I mean, I went to college for geology, so I don't have a lot of training, but I heard somewhere that like, I mean, basically you don't want the audience to worry for you or feel sorry for you. Right. Like, and if I don't know, in Tina Fey's book, she talks about Lorne Michaels cutting to a door right before the knock, and like people, you know what I mean? Like instead, like the camera should have panned after the knock to like see, so there's something about like, instead of making the audience confused or feel sorry for you. Oh, look at us. We're working so hard on this live stream. Like, can everyone just comment and like, like nobody appreciates that.
Right.
Being put in that position as an audience member. Part of your, I guess, you as a host, whether you're hosting a 30-second commercial or a 30-minute podcast, is to make whoever's listening to it feel like they're in the right place and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And
and feel like, feel like you're a friend, right? You're talking to a friend, and hopefully a friend that's funny and informative.
Yeah.
Here's hoping. So, can you do the sound of a rock? Because you were a geologist.
Man, I don't know. I don't have my rock hammer, so I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been cool if you would have been able to cut to a rock. Okay, everyone, close your eyes. Cut to a rock. And here's a rock. This is how a rock.
Yeah, I didn't really do much with my geology degree. I'm doing this now, so that's fun.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
But silence is good too, right? Like you can use silence, you can use time.
Yeah,
you can
This is ready. This is the sound of a rock. Don't make any noise.
Yeah, and you can even hold on. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about it. All right.
A rock feels no pain, and an island never cries.
Now we're getting deep again. See, that's the thing. We've been funny. We've been deep, right?
Well, we try.
Yeah, we try anyways.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking for notes here to see.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to? I had this little thing and I forgot to say it in last week's broadcast, and I asked Mike at the beginning. In last week's broadcast, we gave an overview of different kind of types of audio and things like that, and like, that audio is an option, especially, we all have Zoom fatigue and all that from the pandemic. And, audio is that nice mixture of sort of the personal, but also, without you having to worry about what you look like and what you sound like. And I did want to talk a little bit about like audio's role in accessibility. So like a lot of people use things like screen readers to navigate your website and things like that. But something that I discovered for my website that I was looking for is, there is a thing that will basically read the text that's on your website. And for some stupid reason, now it's 1 second. It's only letting me share one tab at a time, which is so interesting. So like, So it will talk what's on it'll put a little player on your website, and it'll speak for your website. And so,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. And what I ended up doing was I put it on, I have a blog, and apparently I have to share it individually. I was going to just share my whole screen, but it does not want me to. And I just threw it on there, and I thought, like it would be really interesting to kind of see how this works. And I got share audio selected. And so like it will, if I select this tech, it'll start reading from top to bottom. But if I just read this.
This post we'll be talking about new businesses outside of Bar Harbor.
So it'll like put a little reader on your screen and let people read stuff. And there's all this technology now. And I'm not saying this is the only thing, but there is technology coming online that will make your content either on your website, on your website or blog, more accessible to more people if it's being read to them. And so, yeah, just kind of check into that as an option, because people who visit your website might appreciate that. And like I said, it was something I kind of stumbled into, but meant to say. So it's not so much a format. It's not like a podcast or a radio spot or an audio book or any of the other things we talked about last week, but it's just more of this idea of that, audio can make something more accessible to a huge group of people, including people like, I don't necessarily quote unquote need the audio version, but I do walk my dog an awful lot. So, and she is slow. So I do get a lot of audio content in.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that actually be really handy because, yeah, you look, for example, not that you would, but if you were driving and you looked up the website, you just press play, and then you could listen to what the website says. Oh, what restaurant are we going to go to? And then, and then press, and then
have it read the Google reviews as you're headed there.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really neat.
Yeah.
And what I'm amazed at, it's funny because like the whole audio concept, right, it was going to go out with, TVs were going to kill the radio, right? But still, to this day, we still listen. We still like listening. When we listen, we visualize, we make it real. Again, I have a 28-year-old son, and we were just talking last night about he loves podcasts. He doesn't watch TV. Watch TV. He reads a lot, but he doesn't. He just likes podcasts because he can be listening to the podcast while he's doing something else. And everyone, you're almost, if you do it right, you all of a sudden become friends with the podcast, right? Like, I mean, if you're into podcasts, there's certain podcasts. Oh, I wonder what podcast's up to this week. You become friends with it, and you want to know what they're talking about and who their star is going to be, next. And so that's something to think about. Develop that relationship with your listener, and make sure. And the nice thing in the modern technology, we can ask for feedback. We can say, hey, come, comment, see, tell us what you think. And then they can continue to adjust. So you have that interaction, but at the same token, you have this relationship. They're your friend. Become friends with Marketing Monday, SBDC's Marketing Monday. Embrace us, be our friend.
This meme always cracks me up. Because this is how it feels, it's like, they don't know you exist, but like you're just chilling with them. Yeah. But I had to go. I was like, a second you said like, and I'm trying to remember the stat from last time when we were talking with Liz and Erica. But I think podcast listening has gone up like 200% in the last year. And, Liz was saying that when she goes, at the gym, one of the main reasons I used to go to the gym was, television, because I'm an unplugged I don't have people, and during the pandemic, we all got used to like working out in our home gyms or listening to our own thing. And so what they found is that people are just kind of, listening to their own thing now versus looking at what's on the big screens at the gyms. And I think the pandemic has made us a lot more, like, oh, how do I create this environment for myself? And a lot of times an audio environment lets you do other things. And even we have devices in our house we ask things to. Hey, I'm not going to say the name of it, put bananas on the shopping list or something, we have things that we're saying stuff to. And somehow it feels less invasive than having, say, a camera in our house from Amazon, right? Or something like that. But, having something listening to us, I have a Google device in my kitchen that's probably listening to me right now. So, audio it's becoming a part of our lives in a different way than it has been. but I think there's a lot of opportunities for small businesses to, if there's a part of that speaks to them, to be a part of it.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely. And going back to small business. Yeah. And don't forget that we at the Small Business Development Center can help you start your business or expand your business. Simply call us and we will help you. And it's free. But it's, it's important. It's important to think of new ideas, think outside the box. There are so many opportunities right now. Whether you want to create a podcast, whether you want to create a TV show, some sort of web show. I mean, it's just, you don't have to, the old fashioned, okay, we need a place. We got to lease a space. We got to have a business in our space. That's not the way it is now. There's so many opportunities. You can create an entire business online, do really well, never leave your house, whatever. I mean, there's just so many things, but we still, there's still things we want to do. There's still things humans are used to, and they're used to, hearing a story, being part of a story, being part of things. They want to connect, and audio is another way to do that. And it's still, and music too, throw some music in there.
Yeah. There's whole websites where, like, if you want to rent space to record your podcast, that has everything built in, so you don't have to have all the stuff, and it doesn't have to be expensive equipment and all that. It's so funny. And I don't know if you get this, but I get this with talking with small business owners. They're so worried about, like, doing it exactly right and having the right, $3,000, I was just looking at upgrading my streaming setup, and I was looking at some of my streaming friends, and they're like, oh, this is my tech stack. And I'm like, that's a $3,000 camera. Like, no, there's got to be something between my $150, Logitech that I got during the pandemic and $3,000. But it's fun. There's so much we can do with our phones, with free and or very inexpensive software. And then there's these, you can, if you really need a place to film something or record something, there are these pop-up places that you can go to, and just rather than leasing it a whole year, you can rent it for a couple of hours.
Yeah, play with it. See if you like it. I mean, like you can make a film, for example, on a smartphone. I had a film I totally did on a smartphone. It was at a short film, it was at a film festival. I mean, don't underestimate what you already have. And I think sometimes we go and because there's so much ability to research right now, we go and we over research and we want to get, I got to get the best stuff. You don't. Like, if you want to start a business, you don't have to go online and pay some company to, get your LLC, call us first. As a matter of fact, that happens to us a lot. There will, I mean, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but we'll get people that, I already have my LLC, but you don't even have a business plan yet. Maybe you didn't need an LLC yet. That's the thing is, we're free. But also, you already have a smartphone. So try with a smartphone before you decide to invest thousands of, in a studio. Yeah.
I don't know which one of us is saying anyways. It might be me, but Zane is noticing. Anyways, I don't know. I just had to share that because it's our first, it's not our first.
Are you saying anyways? Well, see, Zane, that's called repetition right there. We're trying to
emphasize
the importance of any way. You can do it this way or that way. You can do it anyway. Anyway, it's been done. I think that was probably me now that I think about it. Anyways. I said it again.
See, I think my filler word is okay. I used to get that a lot of my teaching evaluations. You say okay a lot, but a student would give an answer and I would say, okay, does anybody else? I was trying to say something neutral, like not good or bad, or just, I wanted to acknowledge that something had been said and get more feedback. But the person who was reviewing me on my student teaching, she hated how much I said okay.
But it's better than and now
and there's software now you can delete all of those. You can automatically find all the filler words in your audio or video content and delete them.
Oh, I used to have to do it the old-fashioned way. You go.
I know.
Edit,
me too.
Edit.
But there is now. It transcribes it, finds all the filler words. You press go, and it just deletes it.
Can I ask
from
you
the audio track?
Question?
Yeah.
Do you really want to say anyways right now? I do.
I really do now.
I'm trying to stop. I'm like, I really want to say it. I want to say it. Anyways, our time's up.
It is. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a joy.
That was fun.
Yeah. Erica and Liz said it would be a joy, and I believed them, but always nice for confirmation. And if you have any, questions about audio stuff that you want us to answer, you can leave a comment below this video and we will see it And otherwise, tune in the next couple of weeks. We have other exciting guests, maybe not this exciting, but we're shooting for the stars here. And if you found this useful and think a friend could get a kick out of it, please think about sharing with them. And thanks so much, Mike, again.
Yeah,
And
we got some great guests coming up too, because I know of a couple. No, they're really good.
yeah. Well, have a great rest of your week, everybody, and see you next week. Take care.
Bye.